Hi, everyone. I'm glad to present my final projects to you today. Data Justice League, when data deceives machines and scientists. In the era of big data and information explosion, it is vital for youth to develop critical data literacy in machine learning and science to combat misinformation. Anything that is claimed to be driven by buzzwords like big data or scientific approach sounds to have an authoritative power, and students need the critical literacy regarding the workflow of both machine learning systems and scientific approaches to understand the potential biases and social inequity embedded. So the goal of this project is to foster critical thinking about how information is constructed in both domains, what the flaws and biases are, and ultimately cracking the power often attributed uncritically to both AI and science. So I'm going to give an overview of my project. In phase 1, the students are going to gain a foundational understanding in machine learning through teachable machine, using a provided dataset that is very simple but intentionally biased. They're going to document the model's failures and engage in discussion. This simplified activity is designed to familiarize students with data training in machine learning and get them start thinking about data validity. In phase 2, students again train a teachable machine model for an application scenario with clear social implications. I'm thinking about letting them train a classifier to identify cats around the campus that are needing help. Again, the provided data sets are biased, and the students are prompted to think about the unfairness of this machine learning tool, reflect on how training the model using home cats only identifies the lost home cats, but neglected those injured, atypically looking stray cats that really need the help. In phase 3, we shift the focus to biomedical science study. Students will be reading about a case study of scientists testing the effectiveness of a new drug. And as data justice detectives, they're going to work together to identify the potential problems existing in the biased sample of human participants. And in the last phase of concluding discussion, the students are prompted to critically rethink about the objectivity of data-driven approaches in both machine learning and science domains. Concluding discussion questions include, why is it dangerous to completely accept AI or scientific results? And after this class, what is one thing that you will try to remember or question when you hear about a new AI tool or a new scientific finding in the future? I'm just gonna elaborate on one activity in my phase 3. In this phase, the students are introduced to a drug effectivity testing workflow, with the testing sample only include a young white male in a certain local community. After reading the science workflow, the students are going to be data detectives to inspect the sample, identify potential problems of implementing the new drug to the public. Parallel to phase 2, the students are asked to identify features or parameters of the data or the sample that could influence the results, such as gender, age, ethnicity, and reflect on how these parameters identified could lead to social and ethical consequences, such as no effectivity on women and serious side effects on elderly. So to introduce a little bit on the frameworks I used, the core idea of this project is inspired by Scribner's opinion that literacy can be a power. Katz also recognized that opaque AI fosters a form of thoughtlessness when people are deferred to critically examine information under the cause of algorithmic accountability. This design aims to debunk the myth, empower students to learn the potential flaws in data validity, rather than passively accepting black box claims. And secondly, the structure design of each progressive phases is supported by the notion of low barrier entry and scaffolded interactivity. We start with very simple and low-tech teachable machine classification activity and gradually adding social and practical layers, reiterate the same concepts across different contexts to scaffold the students. And finally, scholars have contended that true AI literacy requires learners to probe, audit, and critique the datasets actively. The design of positioning students as data detectives to discuss data parameters and validity is supported by this idea of data agency. Thank you for listening.